Are you with me?
All the way.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And as you know, we're talking about Rogue One today. Before we get into it, just let you know, spoilers ahead. I know this movie's a little bit more popular. People should know it by now, but in case you haven't, I recommend you go watch the movie and come back to the video. But yeah, spoilers ahead. So Rogue One, this is kind of a weird movie. It's a bit of an in-betweenquel as well as with Solo. It takes place right after, or not necessarily right after, Revenge of the Sith, but it takes place some time just before A New Hope happens, and we kind of see that at the end of the movie, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, this was kind of the second movie after Force Awakens. Like I said, I've only seen 2 of the Star Wars movies in theaters, and the last one I said I saw The Force Awakens in theaters. This one I wasn't sure about because it was kind of breaking away from the traditional story. It wasn't have anything to do with the main characters that we all really know. So I was kind of up in the air on whether I should go see it. So I didn't really see it in theaters. It wasn't until like a couple years later I got a DVD of it for Easter. My mom got me a basket, and you know, I mean, I was like 14. But she got me a basket of food and candy and stuff for Easter, and this movie was in it. And yeah, I just kind of enjoyed it. I like this one. It was kind of a breakaway from the traditional story, but it still had those elements. It was something different. I think that's why I appreciated it more, I guess. But yeah, we get introduced to the main character of the movie, her name is Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones. She plays the daughter of Galen Erso, who is the kind of the head creator of the Death Star, and it's kind of her finding, her going to find her dad with Diego Luna, who got his own spin-off show, Andor, which I'm not sure. I haven't watched the show. I don't really care to watch any of those Disney Plus shows. I've heard they're not very good, but I'm not sure if I'm guessing that takes place before the events of Rogue One, which is weird that, I know that the Disney Plus wasn't out at the time, but you would think they would have, I don't know. I wish, it's just weird that they'd now, of all the time, do it now. But yeah, you have a good cast of characters in this movie. You have, the same elements of a traditional Star Wars, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that, as we go along. But yeah, let's just get into it. So like I said, my main positives for the movie is, like I said, the cast. You get Felicity Jones, Donnie Yen, Diego Luna. You got Alan Tudyk, who plays K2SO, a fun droid, and is one of the best droids in the franchise. Like, I know people like, R2-D2 and stuff like that and everything, but I think, as ones that can actually talk, it's like K2SO and C3PO are the best, droids of the franchise. Yeah, it's just a fun team dynamic. We have, all the people, they kind of don't trust each other because they're all kind of have a little bit of a shadowy past. Jyn Erso, she has that, her name has a little bit of weight because she is related to somebody who is, trying to actively, like, kind of destroy the universe. She's related, but he's not kind of willing to go along with it. He's just kind of forced into it, and there's it's kind of sad that they're separated for all these years, that they kind of had no other choice. But yeah, all these characters, they kind of come together and they try to fight, the main bad guy. Krennic, he's kind of like the new I don't know how you say, like, I guess the new Grand Moff Tarkin, although even Grand Moff Tarkin is in this movie posthumously. Peter Cushing died in the the late 90s. But he is the CGI, which I thought at one time looked pretty good, but now that I rewatch it, it hasn't really aged very well. With Disney, with as much money as they make, you would think they would have their effects in order, but it doesn't look quite that good. I'll look back on it now. Like I said, the fight scenes are great in this movie. You have a lot of cool, standalone. You have a lot of cool standalone action sequences, like the scene where they go on the beach. That's probably the biggest one in the movie. You have the little scuffle in between that little city. I don't remember the names of a lot of these places, but if you watch the movie, you know the little scuffle in between the city where they're fighting like these kind of bounty hunters. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but they work for like Saw Gerrera. And they're fighting like, the stormtroopers and everything, and it's a nice little kind of action, part of the movie. Like, this movie doesn't have a whole ton of action, but I think it's fine. I think in a movie like this, you don't want to like build up these cool. This is a movie where it needs to be kind of more low key. It's not supposed to be leading into a big Rogue One franchise. It's supposed to be a story in between the story, and I'm fine with that. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to be this big grandiose movie. It just needs to kind of fall in line with the continuity of the show, and the movies, and it does. So, I mean, like I said, for that. But the action scenes that we do get, and the cast and everything, and the music and all the effects and everything, it all comes together in such a fun Star Wars movie that unfortunately was overlooked, really, when it came out. I mean, it wasn't bad. I just think people were just kind of underwhelmed because it didn't have anything to do with the main storyline involving any of the main characters, really. So, I mean, yeah. Like I said, my main negatives for the movie it's not necessarily a negative, more just kind of a nitpick, but some of the effects, the Grand Moff Tarkin effects, like I said, no, I don't want to blame the artist, because a lot of these movies, they're very rushed out, because like I said, they had years to build up for The Force Awakens. If they're probably working on that in like 2013, and they had years and years and years to build up to as good as that movie was, which I think they did a fantastic job with that movie. And then you only have a year, maybe less, to build this story up. And so with the effects of that specifically, of that character specifically, it looks a little rushed and a little done. But like with a lot of these movies, unfortunately they're overworked, and sadly we get a rushed product. Like movies sometimes take years. Like they were talking about The Flash. The Flash movie had so much issues, and that movie took so long for it to come out. Like, it was supposed to come out in a couple years ago, but it didn't, because of the pandemic and everything. But they feel like they had all this time to fix what they needed to fix story-wise, and then work on the effects, make everything look good. And I've yet to watch the movie, but just from what I see, it looks unfinished. And like I said, I'm not blaming the artists themselves for it being unfinished. I'm blaming the studios for not giving them enough time to be able to make the movie look as good as they want to. And maybe that's just because that was just the amount of technology they had at the time that they could do it. But I have seen, I think it was The Mandalorian. I think they had Luke Skywalker, and there was one episode where they show Luke Skywalker when he's young, and it looks, it doesn't look the best now, and that that just came out like a year or so ago. And then some guy on a computer at home who has the same, software, I'm sure pretty close to it, does it at home, and it looks 10 times better. Because it's not being rushed. We need you to create a total face render of this character, and we need it in 2 hours. Like, probably not that rushed, but just the studios are not trying to they're just trying to rush these products out, not trying to make good products, which is why we get so many downfalls in the effects and everything. Like, there's another effect in the movie, the big squid monster that reads the thoughts of one of the characters. and it too looks bad. That's something they could have done. You know, they could have done more practically, but they choose to go with CGI. And like I said, it's just more of a nitpick than anything. I guess my other negative is I honestly wish they didn't kill the characters off in this movie, because I would have liked to see another movie with them. And that's not fault on the movie its own. It's just story-wise, continuity-wise, it makes sense. And I forgot to mention in the positive section the scene where Darth Vader comes at the end and just starts wrecking shit up, tearing everything up. That was one of the best scenes of the movie. It was a good movie, good scene to end the movie on. And then you get, you know, Nightmare Face Princess Leia at the end of it, which looks, you know, bad. But like I said, I don't blame the artist, I blame the studio on that. But yeah, I guess my final thoughts on the movie: it's a good Star Wars movie. It's a good in-between sequel to the movies. It kind of progresses the story forward and kind of, you know, takes us back to the New Hope era, the original era of Star Wars, while giving it a modern look. Like I said, the movie looks great, aside from the effects mishaps that there is. But like I said, the movie looks great. It's a great sequel, and I'd say it's an A-, of a Star Wars movie. But yes, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will be doing The Last Jedi in the next review you see, so look out for that, and until the next one.